ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्तिस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुके। We are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87, verse number 37. This is continuation of prayers of the Vedas personified. And in the previous verse, they explained how the Sankhya people think in one way, Vedanti think in another way. That everything comes from Sat, therefore it is Sat, and they said it is not real. So in this sloka also there is view of Vedanti who say that this world is not real. So this is again portrayed here. Nayadidam agre asa न भविष्यदतो निधना धनुमितमन्तरा त्वयि विभाति मृषा एकरसे अतः उपमीयते द्रविणजाति विकल्पपथैः वितथ मनोविलासमृतम् इति अवयन्ति बहुधा. So they say that idam agre na asa, that this what we see, this manifest world, it was not there before, and bhavishyadato nidhanat, and it will not remain after dissolution. Nidhana is dissolution. And antaratvai vibhati mrisha ekarase, and it becomes manifest in between. So that was also mrisha, it is mithya, it is not real. But you are ekrasa, you are the real, you are uniform reality, and it manifests in you. Ata upmiyate dravini jati vikalpapathai. So therefore it is compared, upmiyate, like you have gold or you have clay, and from that various names and forms come out in the forms of various ornaments from gold, or various types of shapes of pots, etc. from clay. But they ultimately merge back, and mritika ityeva satyam. So vacharambhano vikara. Mritika ityeva satyam. Only mritika, only the clay or the upadhan karan, that is real. So like that Brahman is real, and from that it manifests in this way, so it is not real. So vitatha manovilasam. So this is just mithya, vitatha, not tathya, but mithya. So this is all imagination of the mind. And they think this is how it is. So avayanti abuddha. So those who are abuddha, those who are not intelligent people, they think like this. So the principle is that adau ante yannasti madhyepi tu tattatha. That which is not in the beginning and which is not in the end, that is not in the middle also. That is the logic. Right? So they give the example that there is a rope. So you saw it in the morning, it was a rope. There was no snake there. Then in the evening, in the dark, you saw snake. Then you threw light on it. It was again rope. So in the beginning it was rope, in the end it was rope. What was it in the between? Rope on. But it appeared like snake. So that snake is real or that is false? Real snake? No, that is mrisha. That's what they say. So yadidam agre asana bhavishyadato nidhanam antaratvai vibhati. So it appears only in you. So just like the snake appears in the rope, in the same way this world was not in the beginning. Ahameva asameva agre na sad sad nitata param. It's written that in the beginning only I existed, and in the end only I will remain. So in between, just a show. So this is what they speak. Soktameva artham satkaryavadi matam ashrinya shrutaya spashtataya sopattikamahu naiti. So thou meaning, which was satita nasat, that sloka which we read, that it is Satidam Uttitam Saditi Chaitananutarkahata. To say that it has come from Sat, therefore it is Sat, that is illogical. So the same thing is spoken here now more clearly. So the Shrutis which are establishing Satkaryavad, they are speaking here. Yadidam prasiddham vishvam tadagre shrishte prak nasan nasit. So this visible and well-known world, this did not exist before creation. Ate asmad bhavina pralayat anupashyat na bhavishyat na bhavishyati. It will also be not there after dissolution of the universe. So it was not before the Big Bang happened, and it will not be after the sun becomes cold. Kintu antara madhye eva mitam pramani praman vishay bhutam vibhati. But it is only in between that it appears. So tadanu mitam antara. Mitam means pramitam, or it is perceived. Kutra mrisati paramristi mrisha. So it is paramristi, it is deliberated thought like that, but it is mrisha. Jagad evam srijami iti paramrsvan ye parameshvara tasmin tvai. And it is seen in him who says that I am creating this universe. Kincha praga bhav dhvansavatvad idam yasmin yasmat nityatvena na pramitam. Moreover, those things which are nitya, they do not have praga bhav, pre-non-existence. Those which are nitya, they also do not have pradhvansa bhav, post-non-existence. Right? So those things which have praga bhav, they cannot be eternal, nitya. So this universe had praga bhav, pre-non-existence, before it was created. And once it is destroyed, it will have pradhvansa bhav. So therefore it is not nitya. So if it is not nitya, it is not real. Na bhavo vidyate sataha. That which is real, sata, its abhava does not exist. Nasto vidyate bhava, which is asat, does not have existence. So therefore it is asat. Logic. So praga bhava dhvansatvat idam yasmat nityatvena na pramitam. Ato dravin jati nam mrit swarnadi nam vikalpa bheda ghatkundalade. So therefore, just like some dravin, some material like clay, gold, etc. So they have various, so gold is gold, but it can have varieties in the form of bangles, anklets, earrings, necklace, right? Different things can be made. It gets name and form, but it is gold. So this name and form is not the reality. Mrittikati evam sat, vacharambana vikara. These are just name and form. So Namarup, only this famous sloka by Shankaracharya. Adyataya Brahmarupam tatodvayam. Nama rupati asti bhati priyam rupam nama rupati panchakam adyotrayam brahma rupam tato anyat dvayam. So asti bhati priya, something exists, something is perceived and it is liked, that is Brahman, that is Sat, Chit, Ananda, asti bhati priya rupa. And nama rupa, which has nam and rupa, So these are the 5 things. Asti bhati priyam rupam nam rutiti panchakam. That's what we perceive in this world. 5 things according to him. So adyatrayam brahma rupam. First 3 are the brahma rupa. So that's why sarvamidam khalu brahma. Whatever asti, that asti is the asti of. When you say this is snake, so this is snake. The snake is name and form. This is, that is the rope. So that's what it says, Mritsrumanadinam vikalpa bheda ghat kundalade, make pot, earrings. Tesam panthano marga prakara. So these are varieties. Tairupamiyate tat sadrishya taya satyatvenaiva. So compare it with that, the world is seen to be real. Natu sukti rajat rajju sarvadi prakare mithyatva tvena nirupyate ityartha. So then he says that it is not like sukti, rajat, oyster and silver, rajju and sarp, rope and snake. So that is not true. Ateva vibhati iti visishta bhanartham vishabda. Therefore the word vibhati has been used. So asti bhati, vibhati, vishesh rupena bhati. So that is real. Kincha tathapi vitata manovilasam idam mithya e vigit jnanine echaritam sarvakalik sattakam idam iti vigit karmini aviyanti jananti te buddha pandita. So therefore 2 type of people. First type of people, they say that this is mrisha, this is not real, this is mithya, this is all imagination of the mind. So that is called idealism. Idealism means that it is only an idea. What an idea. You heard of that? There used to be one famous ad like that. What an idea. So they say that this is only an idea. Idea means Buddhist people say like that. That outside world doesn't exist. It's only your idea, like a dream. It's like in the dream things don't exist. So it's only your idea. Nothing is outside. So this is one. And the other one is Purvimimansaka. This is that Nanidrisham Jagat. That world never changes, it's always like this only. So one is Manovilas and one is Ritam. 2 words are used here. Vitatha Manovilasam Ritam iti avayanti abudha. So those who are not very intelligent, they fall into these 2 categories. So there are 3 things which are described in this sloka. First is that the world is not false, it is real. Then second and third is, second says it is mithya, which means neither real nor false. And third one says that it is always like this, unchanging. So those last 2 are called foolish, abudha. They are not learned, apandita. They are not counted. So that is the explanation. Then next verse. Sayadajaya tvaja manusiyat gunanscha jushan bhajati sarupatam tadanu mrityum apeta bhaga tamujjahasitam ahirivatvacha matta bhago mahasi mahiyase ashtagunite parimeya bhagaha. So Sayad Ajaya Tvajam Anushahid. gunanscha jashan. So this verse is talking about two goats, the Jiva and Paramatma. And one is conditioned by Maya, another is not. So sa yat ajaya tu ajam anushayita. Aja is feminine is Maya and masculine is the Jiva. So ajaya tu ajam anushayita gunanscha jashan. So being conditioned by the gunas, three gunas of Prakriti, he sleeps. Sleeps means he becomes influenced by them. Bhajati saruptam tadanu, and becomes like that. So identifying with the Maya, Mike body, and thinks I am this body, whatever is the shape of the body, then you think this is what I am. So then this leads to tadanu mrityum. This leads to death, which means samsara, taking birth after birth. And apeta bhaga, and loses his bhaga, his value, his importance, his being distinct from matter conscious. All this is lost. Then person starts thinking himself as material, which undergoes birth, death, all the changes. But it says, Tvamut jahasi tam ahiriva tvacham atta bhago. But you, O Lord, you give up that goat, this Maya, just like the snake gives up its slough, its covering. You have seen how the snake gives up its covering, walks through a bush that gets stuck and he walks away. So this is the Bahiranga Shakti. This is a good example of Bahiranga. So that skin is on top of it, but it is not part of its Swarupa. So therefore it says, Tvamut jahasi tam ahiriva. Like a snake, you give up tvacham, just like the snake gives up its skin, slough, like that but you have atta bhaga. The Jiva is called apeta bhaga, who has lost its wealth. And you contain your opulence in you. Mahasi mahiyase astugunite parimeya bhaga. And you are glorious in your own abode with 8 qualities, or 8 perfections, anima, mahima, garima, laghima, all these vasitvam, prakamaitam. And your aparimeya bhaga, your opulence is immeasurable. So that is the distinction between Jiva and Paramatma. तदेवम् इदम् अहंकारास्पदस्य मायिक गुणमयस्य जगतः सत्यत्वम् उक्त्वा तद्वर्तिनो जीवस्य चिद्रूपस्यपि मायाग्रस्तत्वादेव तथा गुणमयतो रूपम् अनुत्तमत्वम् इति आहुः स तु जीव. So in this way, after explaining that this jagat which is made from the gunas of Maya, beginning from ahankara etc. is real, now it explains the situation of the Jiva who is in this material world. So Jiva, although is conscious being, chidrupasyapi, but now it is Maya grasta, it is swallowed by Maya. And therefore it has gunmayata rupam. It is identifying with the body which is made of the gunmaya. And anuttamatvam, and therefore it has come down from its conscious position and thinks himself as material. So sa tu jiva. Sa here refers to the jiva. Yatasmat ajaya avidya ajam maya manushayita. So because of ignorance, it embraces Maya and becomes like her. Upadhi lipto bhavet. Embracing Maya means becoming implicated in the upadhi. Upadhi means imposition. So body and Atma, they are two distinct things, but body is like as if being superimposed onto it, and then they become one. Just like the skin of the snake and snake, they appear one. Or you put on some gloves on your hand, then your hand becomes glovey. Right? So if you move your finger, the glove also moves. And then you think, this is my finger. So like that. Atev gunanam dehendriyadinsa jushan saruptam tat sadharmyam bhasti. And then it attains body, senses, mind, etc. And then acquires quality just like the qualities of the Maya. Because material mind is there, so we have material mind. We think like in a material way. So all these manifestations happen. We don't think separately. Just like you wear some skin tight dress, and then you start thinking that dress is me only, not separate from you. So, tadanantaram apet bhaga. And then his bhaga, his value is gone. So, ananda guna, anandadi guna. So then his happiness, which is there, then that is lost. And then mrityum upayati, he attains death. Death means also birth, death. If there is no birth, there is no death. Right? So death and birth together. That is the samsara, bhasti prapnoti. Nanu, now Bhagavan is asking question, Nanu chidrupatva avisheshad ahamapi katham avidyaya alingito na bhaveyamiti. So Bhagavan is asking that Jiva is conscious, I am also conscious. So why is that Jiva becomes implicated in Maya and I don't become implicated in Maya? What is the reason? I will also become, says Maivam, Jiva khalu chit kana tam tu chin mahapunja. He said Jiva is just little atom of consciousness, but you are the mahapunja. You are big storehouse of consciousness. So Maya cannot overpower you. Tamra pittal swarnadi teja eva tamsavritam bhavet natu surya teja. So just like we know that according to Nyaya, all the metals, they are tejas padartha. They are fiery element, gold, silver, copper. They are all considered as tejas, fiery element. So they can be covered by darkness. But the sun, which is the source of all tejas, cannot be covered by darkness. So like that Jiva can be covered, but not Bhagavan. Tam punastam jahasi, and you give up that. Ayam artha maya shaktir hi tav swarup bhuta yoga maya uttha tad vibhuti reva. So the meaning is that this Maya Shakti, the Bahiranga Shakti, is only a vibhuti. It is only some part of your Swarup Bhut Shakti. So therefore it cannot overpower. It's like a spark of fire cannot burn the fire from which it is coming. So like that. Yaduktam Narad Pancharatra Shruti Vidya Samvade. As it is said in Narad Pancharatra in a dialogue between Shruti and Vidya. Asyavarika Shaktir Mahamaya Khileshwari Ya Mugdham Jagat Sarva Sarvam Deha Bhimaninaha. So they are saying that this Mahamaya is the covering potency of Vidya or Yogamaya. And this Mahamaya is Akhileshwari, it is controlling this world and everybody is bewildered by it. Sarvam Sarve Dehabhimanina. Because of your Mahamaya, people have Dehabhiman. They identify with the body. And then samsara. Sans bhuta taya sarup swasarupattvena anabhimanyamana swata prithakritya tvakta bhavati. So she is swarup ansubhuta, she is only a part and does not consider herself as the swarupa of Bhagavan. So considers as separate. That is the meaning of that she has been given up like the skin of a snake. Saiva Bahiranga Maya Shakti Riti Uchyate. So that is called Bahiranga Maya or external energy. Tatra Drishtanta, there is an example there. Ahiriva Tvacham, like the skin of a snake. Ahiryatha swataha prithakritya taktam tvacham kanchukakhyam swaswarupatvena naiva bhimanyate tathaiv tatvam jahasi. Tam tvam jahasi. Just like the snake separates itself from its skin, which is its covering, and does not consider that as part of its own swarupa and gives it up, in the same way you do not consider this Bahiranga Maya as part of your swarupa and give it up. Yata atta bhaga nitya prapteshwari, because you have your eternal majesty. Etadeva okta posh nyayena ahu mahasi. So to strengthen this, it is said Mahasi Parameshwari Ashtagunite Swata Siddhanimadi Asht Vibhuti Bhi Mahiyase Pujyase. So you are worshipped in your own abode where you have all your 8 siddhis, Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Garima, etc. Katham Bhuta Parimeya Bhaga. And how are you? You have unlimited opulence. Nahi anyasham iva des kaladi parichinnam tadashvaryam apitu swarupanubandhitvat aparimitam. Unlike others whose Aishwarya opulence is limited by time and space, your Aishwarya is not limited by anything like that. So therefore it is aparimita. In this regard there are also Shruti statements. Ajo hi eka jushmano nusete jahati enam bhakt bhogam ajonne. That there is one goat who sleeps with the Maya, and there is another goat who gives up this Maya thinking it is being enjoyed by this other goat. So that is verse 38. And now he further speaks about some practitioners. Yadina samudharanti yatayo hridi kam jata duradhigamo sitam hriti gato smrita kanthamani asutrapi yogi namu bhayeto pe sukham bhagavan anapagatantakad anadhiruda padad bhavata. So he says that yatayo yadi hridi kamajata na samudharanti duradhigamo asatam hridigato smrita kanthamani. So he says that if there are yatis, yati means sannyasis, renounced order, who have given up their family life, etc., which was described earlier, that Stridar Avasathan, Purusasarahara Avasathan. So Kama Jata, Kama means lust or material desire. Jata, you know, what is Jata? matted hair. So, entanglement of the material desires is like the matted hair. You can never figure them out. So like that, if there are material desires in the heart of a yati, a sannyasi, and if they are unable to uproot these material desires, then it says duragati, duradhigama asatam. For such impure hearted people, you are unknowable, they cannot know you. Hirdigato asmrita kanthamani. And you are just like a person who has a gem tied in his neck, but he is searching for it, not knowing that it is there. So he has forgotten that the gem which he is searching is actually in his neck. So like that, Bhagavan is in the heart, but people do not know. They are busy in the material desires. That's why they are called Bahirmukha. So Asutripo yoginam ubhayatopi sukham Bhagavan. Says that, oh Bhagavan, these type of people who are busy trying to satisfy their senses, they are unhappy in two ways. What are those? Anapagata antakat, that they have not conquered over death, and anadhirudha padat, and they have not realized you. So they will suffer here and suffer next life also. So this is the situation of sadhus who are not free from material desire. So because they will be remaining engaged here in materialistic life, and after death also, because they have not attained their goal, so they suffer both here and there. Tadevam slokatrayene pratipaditam avasathanam purusasara haratvam. So he says that in the previous 3 slokas, he has described Purusasara Haratvam, that people who are taking interest in material life, then they are Purusasara. Their Sara means they have deviated from their ultimate Purushartha of extricating oneself from the material settings, material implications. So they are stuck in mud. Therefore they are called apeta bhaga, that their happiness is lost. They can never be happy. So this was described. Now some people come understanding, they give up that Purusasara Haratva, they understand this is not good. So they come, but they bring the desires with them. Sometimes there is some struggle in family life, so then people give up family life, become sadhu. Right? Many people become sadhus like that. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvidha bhajante mam, jana sukritino arjuna, artho jigyasu, artharthi. Or they are having some other financial trouble, so let's go to Vrindavan. Especially in the rainy season. There are more sadhus in Vrindavan in rainy season. Because in the rainy season, people who work in the village, in the field, etc., there is no work. So they say, let's go to Vrindavan. There is some bhandaras there. So they just put on saffron dress and everywhere go on bhandara and you get dakshina 50 rupees, 100 rupees. So nice food, respect, money also. So this is what he is saying, Kamajata. Then once the rainy season is over, they go back home. So he is talking about some, not that bad, but some who are struggling. So tatra ye rishaya uktaste dvividha. So he says that the rishis which are described in the previous verses who have this purusar haratva, they are of two types. Nirgun brahmopasakaha jnani padvachya. Sagun brahmopasaka bhakta padvachya. So all the sadhus can be categorized in two groups. Those who want to attain Brahman, which is Nirgun, Nirakar, qualityless, formless. This is very popular, this Brahmavad. And then there are those who are Sagun Brahmopasaka. Now this Sagun Brahma, do not mistake this word, because this Nirakarvadis, Jnanis, they also talk about Sagun Brahma. But their meaning of Sagun Brahma is that the highest absolute reality is Brahman, Nirgun Nirakar, and then the same Brahman becomes Bhagavan with material upadhis. So that's what they call as Sagun Brahma. So here Sagun Brahma does not mean that, but it means Bhagavan who has transcendental qualities. Saguna means with qualities, Nirguna means without qualities. So therefore he is talking about that Saguna and not the Saguna of Advaitvad. So the first ones are called Jnanis. The second ones are called Bhaktas. So primarily there are only two paths, spiritual paths. Path of Jnana and path of Bhakti. Path of renunciation and path of love. There are only two. And Karma Yoga is tagging along with that. They have to decide ultimately this or that. So these are the two paths. Te yadi vimada sadacharah syu tada te ubhayeva kritartha. So now if both of them are vimada, they are free from mada, as it was described earlier in the sloka, that came not in yesterday's class, day before yesterday's class. So Vimada Bhuvi Puri Punya Tirtha Sadhanani Rishio Vimada, that they are free from pride. So if they are free from pride and they have sadachar, means they are following the dharmic principles, they are not immoral, they are not corrupt in their behavior, not deceivers, not hypocrites. So then they will attain perfection. Jnanis will also attain their Brahman and Bhaktas will attain their Bhagavan. There is no doubt about that. So that's what is saying, that Ubhev Kritartha. Both become Kritartha. Yadi tu Durachara. But if they are immoral in their behavior, then what happens?
Babaji, when he talks about Nirguna Brahmopasaka, Jnanis, it is in our understanding Jnanis or in the understanding of Advaitis? Because in our understanding Jnanis, we still understand Bhagavan, no?
Our understanding.
Yeah, so then we are not talking about Shankara's Advaitis.
No. Yadi tu duracharasyu tada tesham ka gati. So if they are immoral in their behavior, and both have to be considered, Jnanis and Bhaktas. Immoral Jnanis, immoral Bhaktas. Then what is their destination? This is being described in this sloka and the next sloka. Iti apekshayam ahur yadi iti dvaina. So with this intention, the Shrutis speak two slokas. He Bhagavan yate hai sannyasino Nirgun Brahma Upasaka Hriday Sthita Katham. So he says that, oh Bhagwan, that those sannyasis who are worshipping Nirgun Brahma and they are Hriday Sthita. I don't know if something is missing here, but it suddenly says Hriday Sthita Katham. So anyway, we know that Kam Jata, if they have their Kam Jata, then how it is their situation? It says Asmrita Kanthamani Vismritoya Kanthasmriti Manis Tattulya. So they are like people who are wearing the gem in their neck, but they have forgotten it. Sayatha Kanthe Vartamano Api Asmritaschet Apraptaiva Bhavati Tadvatiti. So although the gem is existing, hanging in the neck, but because they have forgotten, then it is as good as it does not have. It's like if you have money in your pocket, but you somehow think you don't have money, and you want to buy, you are hungry, you want to buy food, but you think you have no money. So although you have it, but because you are not aware of it, then it is as good as not being there. So that is their situation. So all the Brahman is there everywhere, but they get absorbed in sense pleasure. न केवलम एतावदेव किंतु तेषाम असूत्रिप योगिनाम इंद्रिय तर्पण पराणाम योग छद्मानाम ubhayatopi asukam. And not only this much, but because they are absorbed in sense pleasure, asutrip yoginam, indriya tarpan, they are just trying to satisfy their senses. So they are like yoga chadma. They are the hypocrite yogis. They are not real yogis. So they do not have happiness in two ways, iha mutracha, neither here nor in next life. Dukkham eva, they will have suffering both in this life, next life. Tatra ahika dukkhamahu anapagato anivritto yavantakas tasmat. So what is the unhappiness here? They should be happy here at least. They are trying to satisfy their senses. He says no, because they have not become free from antaka. Antaka, he takes the meaning not just death, but in the sense of trouble. So he says loka aradhanadi klesha. So people may not respect them. So they will have trouble with that. They are sannyasi, but they are not being respected. So that is klesha. Dhanarjanadi klesh. Then they have, since they want sense enjoyment, they have to make some money for that. But how the sannyasi will make money? He cannot do job, he cannot do business, but so he has to have some deviant means. So that is another klesha. And the third one is bhoga chhadanadi. Then they have to enjoy, but they cannot enjoy openly. Because how can sannyasi will enjoy openly? Then people will say, what kind of sannyasi is he? So they have to hide. So they have to engage in hypocrisy. So this is another klesha. So he says this is the mrityu, this is the death for them in three ways. Klesh rupa mrityu tritiyat praptat. So they will have suffering, because death is also type of suffering. So they will suffer here. Outside they may look sannyasi, but inside they are having so much stress and anxiety. At night they can't sleep. They have nervous breakdown. So that's problem. Then paratrikam dukham ahur adhirudham padam swarupam yasya. Then the dukha in the next life, that they have not attained their goal, swarupa, which is Brahman here. Tatha bhutat bhavata sakasat yad dukham tat swarup praptya bhavat. So not attaining their own swarupa, they will suffer from that also, because they are not going to become liberated. So they will suffer more. Pratyuttadatta naraka yatna atishayachya. Rather they will suffer in naraka because of their immoral behavior. So they have to continue suffering. Atra shrutaya, there are shrutis in this regard. Kamaniya kamete manyamana se kambhir jayate tatra tatra ityadya. That one who is desiring material objects and meditating on them, then because of these material desires he has to take birth. And birth means death and all other things which come along with that. Manyamana manan parayano api yatiriti artha. Manyamana means who is deliberating on sense objects, although he is a yati sannyasi, renounced person. So that is their situation. Okay, is there any question on this?
So Babaji, here this is basically describing Nirgun Upashaka, those who are having Durachara basically.
Yeah.
This is the whole summary for that Durachara to go.
Durachar Gyani.
Durachar Gyani. Then you also explain Durachar
Bhakta.
Samudram Upashak then?
Yeah, that is the next sloka.
Oh, okay.
That will make devotees happy. because he will say that even if bhakta is durachar, he is still bhakta. Jnani is a durachar, he has no stand. Okay, Narayanji.
Guru Maharaj, my question is about the Nirguna Upasakas that you mentioned. So, this is a fundamental doubt I have. We have been, my understanding always has been that pure Advaitins, they, they consider the body of Bhagavan as a Saguna, but they consider it as Sagun. But
Sagun means what?
Sagun means in the, basically a body that is under the influence of the gunas.
Yes.
Now, I have heard Nishchalananda Saraswati Maharaj say many times that जो भगवान का जो सच्चिदानंद रूप है, he says that foundation of that is actually Satchidananda Tattva only. Even if the body, even if the Bhagwan appears in this world, So he says, Bhagwan's avatar, specifically he says that all of Bhagwan's avatar, they are all, whether it is the Upadana Karana or the Nimitta Karana of the Shri Vigraha, they are all Satchidananda. And he also says that, so of course he goes on further, and then he further says that the Shri Vigraham is always divine and transcendental. And that's really the point he's driving. So, now this is completely opposite to what I have heard from earlier institutions.
No, but this is not true according to their books only. If you read Shankaracharya's commentary on Vedanta Sutra, it is very clearly written that all this shalagram, this vigraha, these are all upadhis, material upadhis.
Right. That is what I have heard from obviously from our school. But I have also heard from him very directly actually and he has said this in multiple places, not just once. So this is just, this is like I've heard those lectures a while back. I can find them because I've made notes. I remember where. But this has been a bit of a confusion for me. Is that when I look at Sridhar Swami's commentaries, even the ones who are written in Hindi, they also are very clearly in many places saying that the form of Brahmana, the form of Shri Krishna is Sagun only. That's what they also say in many places, in subtle manner. Whereas here, Nityananda Swami is coming out and saying the exact opposite. So, is there something that we need to understand? I mean, this is not my field, but I'm just curious, like how.
Well, unless I hear him, I cannot say what exactly he is saying, because there are various ways of saying things, He may actually mean that it is Satchidanand because it is just a vivarta of Brahman, and Brahman is Satchidanand, just like rope and snake. So they say snake is also rope only. It is non-different from its adhisthana. Adhisthana means the base. So the snake is non-different from rope, because snake does not have an independent satta. And rope is Satchidananda, means Brahman. So they will say like that. So I don't know exactly what he's saying, but I have heard the statement of Advait, like here Swami Akhandananda Saraswati clearly said that Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, they all have upadhis of guna, and Jnanis are better than them. His very clear statement, he says that Brahma is kami, lusty, Shiva is angry, krodhi, and Vishnu is lobhi, greedy. Kam, krodh, lobh. Three things we hear these words where Krishna says they are the gateway to hell in 17th chapter. Tasmat etat trayam tajet trivudha narkasya dharam. And these are three gates to hell. But he says that the Jnani is there beyond this. It's very clear statement. In fact, it is written, printed in his book. I have it somewhere. And I've heard him say it. And Akhandananda and Nisalananda, they lived together for a long time.
Yes.
They shared the same dais. They were living in the same ashram actually. I saw them. I used to go and study there.
Actually, there is one more doubt I have about this about the Jnani part. I mean, what is the root issue actually with Advaitam? Is it the fact that is it the fact that they identify with the Brahman, or is it the fact that they don't accept Bhagwan as a as a transcendental entity who is be all and who is the source?
No, it is very simple. It is very simple. Their main statement is, some of the important statements is Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. It's very simple that this world is mithya. And what they will also do puja, they will also glorify Krishna as we glorify. And they can glorify better than us also. They are very learned. But this is all vyavaharik. You have to understand that. Unless you understand that, you can be tricked by them. Whenever they are praising all these things, it is only at the vyavaharik level. At the paramarthik level, there is only Brahman. So they consider three types of existence or satta: paramarthik, vyavaharik and pratibhasik. So this jagat which we are seeing, this is true. They will describe it exactly the way we describe. I accept Sankhya also, no problem. But this is only vyavaharik. Once you come out of this and go to Paramartha, nothing like that is there. So therefore all this form of Krishna, this, that, they will also say Krishna is eternal. There is no problem with that. But it's vyavaharik.
I see.
It's empirical reality, not ultimate reality.
And is it because of this that the famous verse that you've said many times, Zarive Krichena Parampada, this is why they basically eventually they do fall from that position. Fall as in they regress back. Is this the fundamental seed of the issue?
Yeah. Then ultimately they think that they are beyond all this. very clearly. I mean, Akhandananda Saraswati, if you hear his lectures, he has given lectures even on Madhurya Kadambani, up to that specific. And he speaks very nicely. But then you hear his talks on Advaitavad, he will just make chutney out of bhakti like anything.
And so we have to be careful because there are some people who speak perfectly authentic, bona fide Shastra. They're very learned, as you yourself said. The Advaitavadis are very learned. I've heard almost 30-40 classes of Swami Nishchalananda a while back in one of the earlier Chaturmashas, and he's probably one of the most learned people I've seen.
Yeah, he's highly learned. Very highly learned.
He doesn't talk, and he doesn't, he dispelled a lot of my misconceptions about Advaitavad, in the sense, not the fundamental ones, but these ones, like we have, like this, we have been there's been some impressions planted about Advaita sannyasis, especially when for people coming from who have baggage of bhakti in the past. Most of them don't seem to be true. So anyway, but this person, so what I wanted to ask is, so there are sampradayas from what you are saying, who speak bhakti, but who are actually Advaitic in nature.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that we really have to be careful about, because they'll certainly change the Siddhanta without us understanding it.
Yeah, Nishchalananda Saraswati is 100% Advaitavad, 100% pure. But he will speak on Bhakti, on Bhagavatam, very nicely. He has so many lectures on Bhagavatam, Gopi Geet. Whenever he comes to Vrindavan, he always speaks on Bhagavatam in his ashram.
Right. Is there a
He used to invite my Nyaya teacher. They were once upon a time, my Nyaya teacher, Akhandananda Saraswati and Nishchalananda Saraswati, they were all three together. And when Akhandananda Saraswati was there, he was a very open-hearted person. He respected all Vaishnavas. Even now in their ashram, they celebrate Ramanujacharya's birthday, Madhvacharya's, Nimbarkacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all Acharya's birthday they celebrate. So very Catholic type of person and very friendly with everybody, very social type, highly learned. He was not less learned than, Nishchalananda Saraswati or anybody. And very good speaker. So they will all sit together every day and give talk. Because when Akhandananda Saraswati was there, this was a hub of scholars, his ashram. They are very nice, one of the best libraries. That's where I started learning Sanskrit. I used to go every morning to that ashram and learn there, even before I started studying from Maharaj. So, but Nyayacharya was a Vaishnava, Pakka. And he was a very Pakka Vaishnava in the sense that before he was an Advaitvadi, before he became Vaishnava. So he knew Advaitvad very well. Being a great Advaitvadi himself, then he got converted and became Vaishnava. He lived in Banaras at that time, which is a center of Advaitvadis. Then somehow he became influenced by Vaishnava, Siddhanta, and he gave up Advaitvad. And he took Diksha in Nimbark Sampradaya. But he was living in Akhandananda ashram. He was a very renounced, a true Advaitvadi from the beginning, so highly renounced. He never kept any money with him, nothing. Whenever he needed anything, he will just ask me, He used to come, I used to cook for him. He used to come and eat in my room, when I was in ISKCON. Even completely no possessions. That type, but very learned person. So he will sit with them, and because they will speak Advaitavad, so he will refute them. But Akhandananda Swami was very accommodative type and very tolerant. So he never said anything. But his disciples did not like. So the day Akhandananda Swami left his body, next day he was kicked out from the ashram. He says, "Thela uthao, chalo yahan se." Because they didn't like. He will actually catch Akhandananda Swami and argue with him on the stage. And Akhandananda Swami was a national sadhu, He was very famous. Many great, these Birlas and Dalmias were his disciples. So Nischal, then he came and I made a kutia for him here near ISKCON. That's where I used to go and study, because when he was kicked out, he lived far away in some ashram. When I met him, that I want to study Nyaya, he said, "I will teach you, but you have to make a place for me that side." He didn't want to live that side. So I made one for him. This was in 1991. Then he came there. But because Nischalananda knew him from Akhandananda time, whenever Nischalananda came, he became Sankaracharya position of Puri Mutt. Then he will invite him. So he will go because he was friendly with him, but then he will come and complain. He says, "What he speaks I don't like." He says he always brings because he will speak on Shruti Stuti and all this, Nischalananda, all these slokas. Very elaborate commentaries he will give. So he says he always brings the Advaita point and I hate it. So then in the end, whenever he came, he will leave and go to Barsana or somewhere. He says, "No, I don't want to sit with him." He could not say no to him. So he will say, "Now our class will stop for 10 days. I'm going out." He says, "Look, invitation has come from Nischalananda and I don't want to go." Because he could not tolerate it. That is making a mess of this Bhagavatam slokas.
And I had just one final question on this. Is that as practitioners, as sadhakas, how as somebody, is there a litmus test for us to know who are the speakers? And my question is in the context of the question I asked yesterday. Yesterday it was more about the guru. You clearly mentioned that the Shrutis clearly state the importance of having a guru, and and ideologically, at least for starters, fixing yourself up in his service. So I understood that to mean fixing up in the ideology first, very firmly, before rendering any physical service. Those things can come secondary. Many people I've seen are ideologically itself not fixed, and that creates a bigger issue. So my question is, how does a sadhaka know which ones are aligned and which ones are not? Is there like a litmus test which great saints use to identify this?
You mean now?
Yeah. Now, I mean, for example, now obviously about this Swamiji, you have given us some insight, so this really helps, right? But there might be other things in the future, some years down the line, where somebody would come, they might profess to speak good Bhagavatam, and we get attracted and start listening.
Well, unless you give me the name, there's so many. But the thing is like this, it is very simple, that you have to be very careful that if they belong to Advaitvada Sampradaya, then they are going to speak Advaitvada philosophy. It's very simple. And then there are others who are like popular Bhagavata speakers, at least in Vrindavan area, famous ones. So they may not be even Advaitvadis, they may be just normal, they may not be aligned with any Sampradaya or anything. But they are very much influenced by these people because they are unable to discriminate. So in their talks they will also bring out this. And they may also have a huge following. There are many in Vrindavan who have huge following. But the one who is a true Vaishnava at present is Rajendra Das. He is a Ramanandi, but he is not Advaitvadi. But he will also meet with them nicely, friendly. See, this is the thing. These days everything has become like that. If some Advaitvadi comes to him, then he will also receive him nicely and that. But at least he is a Vaishnava. Unfortunately, Vaishnavas do not study deeply, and Advaitvadis, they are very much into study. So Vaishnavas are generally weak when it comes to Shastra. This is my experience. Because all the big scholars here in Vrindavan, Akhandananda, Nischalananda, Karpatri Swami, they were highly learned people of their time, but they are all Advaitvadi. At present, I don't see any strong Advaitvadi, but their flavor is still floating around.
Right. Thank you very much, Maharaj. And actually, this also makes me reflect on what you said yesterday, is that, the importance of also just sticking to only hearing from one person is better than just, because, obviously we don't hear from other people, but sometimes stuff comes in other directions. What prompted this whole question was, there is an excellent Kathaka, his name is Ramesh Bhai Oja. He has a divinely empowered voice. He really sings well. So he gave this nice talk on Gopi Geet, which became very popular. And that is why from there, you catch the link, and then, you find out, okay, what is he talking about, what is his Sampradaya, what not. And you trace it back to Advaitic roots. So it's a little...
No, this is happening. I'm telling you that even some of the Gaudiya speakers may have that Advaitic mixture in them. Because unless you study your own scriptures deeply, and then because what happens is that this Kathakar, whether it is Ramesh Bhai Oja or anybody, they all hear to these great talkers, like Akhandananda Saraswati was also speaking on Bhagavatam. He was also doing Bhagavat Saptah. So he was there. So then there are books available, their cassettes are available. So then and then there are schools in Vrindavan for training you as a Bhagavata speaker, and most of these teachers are Advaitvadis. They are Grihasthas, they are not sannyasis, but they will teach you Sridhari commentary. And from Sridhari, they will take Advaitvad. Sridhari has many Advaitvad principles in it.
Thank you.
Unless you study Sridhari with Jiva Goswamis, you may be influenced by Advaitvad principles. Okay.